Hello, my friends, and happy Thursday, and Merry Christmas. Can you guys believe it is almost Christmas? It is on Sunday, indeed. And so for the most part, I'm finished with holiday projects, but not really. There seems to always be one or two more projects. So today was supposed to be memory wire bracelets, and then kind of almost last minute, I decided to throw in this fun little ornament. Ta-da! And given that it is the season, I will start with my Helix holiday ornaments. I was pondering, do I call them tornadoes? But you know, who wants a tornado, right? So I called them Helix holiday ornaments, and this is what they look like. You know what, I should have had some hooks. It would have been a lot easier to show them to you, but we will just make do. So this is what they all look like. And these are made with memory wire. So I do have some fun little tips and techniques for making these ornaments. And one thing about this is, can you see the different lengths? So this holiday Helix ornament is actually made by stretching out memory wire that is intended for rings. And depending on how much you stretch it, it's going to be either a little longer or a little shorter. But believe it or not, all of these started out as the same length, and they can potentially all be the same length.
Barb says, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Barb. Good evening.
And Kim K says, happy winter solstice.
Oh, thank you, Kim. I love that. And happy winter solstice to you as well. And to everyone, even though I forget about it, but I love winter solstice. It's just, you know, there's something so magical about it. And just think, henceforth, our days will start becoming just a little longer. And I think that is something that we can all embrace.
Jolene says, good evening.
Hi, Jeline. Good evening.
And Patricia says, good evening, all.
Hi, Patricia. Good evening, my friend. Okay, ladies. So we have lots of different ornaments, and we have lots of bracelets. So I will show you the bracelets in just a moment. But before I move on to the bracelets, so here, this is what I wanted to show you. Remember how I just mentioned that they all start out as the same exact length. But here are two. I feel like it's very easy to compare apples to apples, right? And so here we have the red ornament, and this started out as the same length of memory wire. Clearly this one is kind of long and skinny. The one on my left is a little bit more, is a little shorter, a little wider. That's because you can play with memory wire and just kind of shape it. So I'm going to put this down, and then I'm going to start showing you the bracelets. This is really all exactly the same technique, which is why I paired the two projects in the same video.
Patricia says, I received my shipment today. I love it all, and sends a heart.
Oh, yay, Patricia. Thank you so much. I love it when you guys tell me that you opened your treasures and that you love them. That just makes me so very happy.
Connie says, hello, everyone.
Hi, Connie.
And Allie says, hi, love the projects.
Thank you so much, Ellie. And it was so good to see you the other day. And oh my gosh, I love your husband's grandma's ornament. That was so beautiful and so precious. And what a wonderful family heirloom. Okay, ladies, so I have in front of me, I have 6 different memory wire bracelets rather. So I kind of really went to town with the bracelets. You know, they're just so very, very fun to make. And it's so fun to play with color. So I made 2 series. One is a little bit more holiday-ish, I feel. So given that Christmas is almost upon us, and you know what happens after Christmas, it's New Year's Eve. And we're going to want some type of fun blingy bracelets around our wrists for New Year's Eve. So these first 3 that I'm showing you right now, these are called circles of facets, and these are what I am sort of envisioning maybe for New Year's Eve or maybe for some type of an occasion that calls for a little bling.
Allie says thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, Ellie. It was so wonderful.
Rosie says, wow, looks like the party has started. Your table is so festive.
Oh, indeed, Rosie, and thank you so much. Yes, I feel very festive today with all my fun little blingy treasures around me. And I hope you guys are feeling festive as well. 'Tis a festive season. And so these bracelets, this is the other series of memory wire bracelets that I had a lot of fun with. And these are circles of gemstone. So these are a bit more earthy, a bit more casual. To me, they're like a little bit more of an everyday sort of bracelet.
Fonda says, good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday. I made it. My friend took me out for dinner for my birthday.
Oh, hi, Fonda. Happy birthday, my friend. You and I are both Sagittariuses. So, no wonder we have a lot in common. Okay, and Fonda, as a special birthday, I don't know if it's a gift, but as per your suggestion, I did make the Helix ornaments. So here we have the new, and I will say this time it really is the last ornament for this season. So this is, although, you know, it's kind of interesting because we do sell our holiday ornaments all year round. And so this is the latest one and the last one for this season. And so this is as per your request. So this is the Helix ornament that I know you've seen something very similar at the store. So now we have 5 different colorways of the Helix ornament.
Fonda says thank you.
My pleasure, Fonda, and I hope you're having a happy and wonderful birthday. Okay, guys, so let's see. We're going to start with the ornament. The two, both the ornament and the bracelets, the technique is really so very similar. So I think I'm going to start with the ornament, and then the bracelet is going to be more or less a show and tell. So let's get started. Okay, ladies, so first of all, look at this tiny little memory wire. I mean, look, can you even believe that this is all it takes to make one of these very long and blingy pieces? Isn't that kind of crazy? You would never really think that. So as I mentioned, the manufacturer intended these as a ring. Okay, I hope I can take this off. Yes, I can. So this is supposed to be a ring. And, you know, I have never been known to use things exactly as they are intended. There's always some other kind of fun thing you can do with it. So this is what we're going to do. Before we start stringing our beads, we're going to stretch out our memory wire, this guy right here. And since, as you may know, memory wire is intended to hold its shape. It has a memory. Hence, it's actually not a very easy thing to stretch it out. Well, I won't say that it's difficult, but let me rephrase it. It does not stretch out easily, so we really need to have intention here.
Yolanda says, hello, Irina, Tony, and all. Happy holidays.
Hi, Yolanda. Thank you for joining us, and happy holidays to you, my friend. Okay, ladies. So this is what I'm doing. I am just using my flat nose pliers to gently bend out one end. Okay, so almost as if I'm going to make a loop on this end. And eventually I will make a loop on that end, but not just yet. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So you see what I'm doing? I am just kind of pulling out the very end of my wire. So now this is what I have. I have my memory wire with two little ends sticking out like that. So the reason I did that is so that it's very easy for me to grab onto the wire with my chain nose and my flat nose. And as I do so, you can see I'm not grabbing at the very, very end because it will just slip out of your tool. So grab it maybe, like ½ an inch into the wire end.
Allie says, cool idea for this size wire. I have a long coil of it waiting to be used.
Awesome, Allie. And now, since you have a long coil, you can make a shmillion of these Helix ornaments, which, of course, I will give you a little disclaimer. I realize that most of you who are normally used to mail ordering and getting this in time for the holiday, unfortunately, if it's going somewhere other than if you're not picking it up, the chances are you're getting it after Christmas. So I am sorry for that. However, put it in your window until next time. And maybe, I don't know, maybe just keep it in your window. But a year from now, you can put it on the tree. Just a thought. And you know what I do with pieces like this? I hang them from my light fixtures, and I just enjoy that all year round. Okay, ladies, so holding my memory wire with the flat nose and the chain nose, and now we're going to pull this and hold on to the pliers like you mean it, please. So you saw how much I pulled it, and it didn't actually stretch out that much. So let me just re-grip it just so that I'm sure not to launch it at Tony. And now I'm going to stretch it out a little more. So look how much I'm stretching it out. Can you guys see where it makes almost like just a gentle wave? Okay, that is how much we're going to stretch it out. Okay, now let it bounce back, and guess what? This is the perfect stretch. I don't know why my hands are so very pink today. I don't know, maybe I'm just really excited about these ornaments. So once we have stretched it out, we are going to make, well, actually, no, we're not going to make a loop just yet. We're just going to set it aside. And we are going to work on the charm that is going to be at the bottom of our ornament.
Rosie has a good point. She says it's a beautiful sun catcher. Valentine's Day is around the corner for the red one.
Oh, you know what, Rosie? That's a super, super good point. Thank you so much for that. Yes, for Valentine's Day. But again, you know, like I said, I love having these types of pieces just around my house, hanging from various light fixtures. It's just kind of festive year round, and it catches the light, and it's very fun.
Kim K says, I made wine charms with ring memory wire also.
Yes, Kim. Yes, I know. We used to do that as well. For a while, it was such a huge trend, and it's still somewhat the trend. Not quite as big as when it started, but it's very fun to do that as well. So I have just strung an 8/0 seed bead onto my long head pin. And now I'm going to top this off with another 8/0 seed bead. I feel like having the 2 seed beads just give it a little bit of a more finished look. And now I am just going to make a loop. So this is literally like making a very, very large earring. Clearly it's a big drop. It's probably about 1 inch, maybe a little longer than 1 inch. And so it would really be way too heavy for an earring, but it is perfect for the bottom of our Helix ornament. So I just made a 90-degree angle, which is what we always want to do when we are making a wrap loop. And now I made half of my loop, and if I were to take out my round nose pliers, this almost looks like a little question mark. So you always want to make half a loop, and then you don't have to take the round nose out, but then you just gently guide the wire just to cross it over like that. I like to point it towards my face so that I can see what's going on. If it's not quite centered, I center at that point. And then I hold it with my chain nose pliers while I tightly wrap into that little space between the loop and the bead. And once you have filled that space, that's it, you're done. And we're just going to cut off our excess wire and pinch in the end so that it's not sticking out. And so here's our little bauble for the bottom of the ornament. Okay, so now it's a really good time to make that loop. So again, I'm just going to use my round nose pliers. And everybody always asks me, what is it that you use to make loops in memory wire? And it's just round nose pliers. That's all you need. So as you're making the loop, we are not going to quite finish closing it, but rather leave it a little bit open, then use your flat nose pliers to open the loop to the side, slip in our little bauble for the bottom, and now we can close the loop in the memory wire.
Yolanda says, love those crystals.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. Okay, so now we are going to start stringing. So stringing, you know, you guys have all done some type of stringing. I can't really show you anything really new as far as stringing. So your beads for the ornaments are going to come right on the strand. Some of the beads are going to come on a wire. This is like a little, very dainty wire. Some of the beads are going to come on some type of a filament. Well, either way, you know what's really, really easy is just transferring the beads, just like what I'm doing right now. So this is only going to take me a couple of minutes to transfer an entire strand of beads. So I know some people, as soon as they get the kit, they get that strand out and take the the beads off the strand right away. So before you take the beads off the strand, just consider doing it this way. It is so very simple, and there's something really kind of fun about it. You know, I love this technique of transferring the beads from strand to whatever your project is. So when you work on your bracelets, it's not going to be exactly like this because you're not getting anything in a strand. You're getting beads by count. So yes, you will have to pick up each bead one at a time. But for the ornaments, we can do this. So I'm probably about halfway or close to it. And you know, whenever it seems, did you guys see? Okay, I should have done this on camera. All right, next time I drop all the beads down. It's kind of fun to see. I'll show you. So whenever you feel like your string is getting a little long, just cut it off so that you are always working with a shorter string. It's just a lot easier to transfer the beads that way.
Suni is wondering what size beads you are using.
Thank you so much for asking, Suni. So these are about 4.5, 5 millimeters. Some of the beads that I'm using for this project are a little smaller, about 4 millimeters. But you could really use almost any size beads for something like, well, within reason, for something like this. What really matters a lot, though, is the opening in the beads or the size of the hole. So just make sure that the size of the hole is such that they very easily drop down like this. Look at this. Isn't this fun?
Jane says, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Jane, and good evening to you, my friend. I'm so glad you joined. Okay, ladies, so I'm just going to continue transferring the beads until I run out of wire. And you're going to run out of memory wire, the chances are, before you run out of beads. So you're probably going to have a few beads left over. And the reason we do it this way is so that when you're working on this project, you're not tempted to cut the wire. And you know, I know that some of you have memory wire cutters, and should you decide to cut it a little bit shorter, you can always do that, but please be sure to use your memory wire cutter rather than your regular cutter that you use for most other things. Okay, I'm going to make this a little shorter again. And then I'm going to show you, so this is clearly my regular cutter, which I use for head pins, for sterling wire, for base metal wire, even for soft flex wire. But if I'm cutting memory wire, I either use this guy right here or a shear like this. So they're both memory wire cutter, and perhaps you already have one of them. Again, for this project, you should not have to cut anything off. But just in general, when you do cut your memory wire, make sure that you use a cutter that is intended for that, because memory wire will do terrible, terrible things to your regular cutter. And we're almost at the end. I just need a few more beads. And then we make another loop. So that's how close I am. Maybe like 2 or 3 more beads, and then we're done.
Suni says thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Suni. My pleasure.
Fonda's wondering, is the memory wire a whole package, or did you cut it to size?
We cut it to size, yes. We absolutely cut it to size. To be precise, we cut it to 6.5 loops so that you're able to get something that looks exactly like what I'm showing. So this is how long it's going to be. I want to say when it's made, it can be anywhere from, let's just say, 2 inches to about 6 or 7 inches, which is what mine is right now. So in fact, you know what? I'm going to make a loop and then we'll find a ruler and measure it. So to finish this, of course, I have to make another loop. And my top loop is going to be a bit larger since this is the loop that my ornament is going to hang from. And maybe I need to kind of redirect it so that it is going up so it's vertical. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And just for fun, okay, and now we can find the ruler. I was going to say well, you know what? I know that my work surface right here is 8 inches, so it's 8 by 8. So with the bauble, this is pretty much exactly 8 inches. But as we said, it can be shorter, it can be longer. It really all depends on just how much you stretch it. So just remember to stretch it to that gentle wave, and then it's going to look exactly like mine. Okay, ladies, so what do you think? Was that easy? I think this is so fun. It's just, you know, it's very satisfying to make. Okay, so now let's talk about, oh, you know what? I actually forgot to grab, my memory wire for the bracelet. But that's okay. It is somewhere in this room. And while Tony is finding that for me, I actually kind of want to talk about one other thing. And so let me just show you all of my Helix ornaments again. And I'm going to point out that some of these are created exactly like the one I just made, and some are just a little bit different. So we have the teal luster one, and that is the one I just demoed. Then we have the silver, and the silver one is made in exactly the same way. So you have your long head pin, and then you have a seed bead and another seed bead. The red one, again, is exactly the same. So now let's talk about what is different. So the lavender ornament is just a little bit different. So what appears to be a solid bead actually is not. So this is what it actually is. We string one of those little half cones on our long head pin. Then we drop a very large 12 millimeter rondelle. And finally, one more half cone. And so this is going to give you the appearance of a really fun blingy bead. So there's no seed bead at this point to make it a charm for our ornament. All we have to do is just make a loop at the top exactly the way that I demonstrated. And then we have one outlier. So this one is a Swarovski chandelier component in the shape of a leaf. And this is going to come with your crystal AB or ice ornament. We call the color we called ice. And all you have to do in order to make it a charm is simply put our chandelier component onto a jump ring, and then we connect to it in the very same way.
Allie says, love it. How clever with the cones, and adds a great project in a short amount of time. Nice last minute gift if we need one.
Yay! Thank you so much, Ellie. I'm so glad you like it.
Fonda says, fun, easy, and sparkly.
Thank you so much.
And Debbie says, hey, everyone.
Hi, Debbie. So you saw I just opened the jump ring, and then to close the jump ring, we are just going to move the two sides of the jump ring ever so slightly closer so that there's a teeny tiny overlap. And that overlap is going to, did you hear that little click? Let's do an instant replay. Okay, there's that click. So the click means we don't have any room between the two sides of the jump ring. And now we have a little bauble for the bottom of our icicle. And I feel like there's a little something for everybody color-wise, however you choose to decorate, either over the holidays or the entire year. There's just a little something for everyone. And again, this is Helix, or rather Holiday Helix ornament. And there are going to, in fact, we have lots and lots of links to these various projects this time. In fact, there are exactly 12, just like the 12 days of Christmas. Yay! Okay, guys, so, which reminds me, it was going to be 11, and then we realized that we have an extra little project. So, do you remember when last Friday, or maybe last Thursday, I had, I should have grabbed it, but I didn't. So I had a sun catcher. Oh, Tony grabbed it for me. Yay, thank you, Tony.
It's not all of it.
Okay, this is not all of it. This is the one that I demoed, but I guess there's enough of it. So there's actually a little bit more on the actual one. And everybody commented on how fun it would be to have this portion as a pendant. So we made pendants. This is what the pendant looks like. And that too is now available in the Etsy shop. So this is what the pendant looks like. A slightly different colorway, just kind of based on, you know, the Swarovski cubes that we still have.
Debbie says pretty.
Thank you so much, Debbie. Okay, and now I think we are finally ready to talk about the memory wire bracelet.
Allie says yes, the present on the bottom is cute.
Oh, thank you so much, Ellie. Okay, I'm just looking for, yeah, I'm looking for the ants. Okay, so for the memory wire bracelet, we have 5 loops. Okay, so we have 5 loops of memory wire, and then we have just a little bit extra. So we have 5 3/4 inch, like a little extra, and that little extra is 3/4 of an inch. And the reason we have that little extra 3/4 of an inch is so that you have room to make loops, and it does not take away from the 5 full loops of the bracelet. So this is, here, let me just show you all 3 colors of our circles of facets.
Kim K says so pretty. The sparkly dangles on the icicles are beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, ladies, so as you can see here, let me hold it this way. I don't know why. I think I like the feather hanging down. So here we have on each one of these three, we have a little feather, we have a little bird, and in fact, they all have bird names. So we have red robin. I don't know if that looks like a robin. It's just kind of like a little birdie. And then we have turquoise jay, and just like blue jay, except for turquoise. And it is actually a thing. Turquoise jay is a real bird. And I know everybody's familiar with blue jay. And lastly, we have copper sparrow. And so they all have a little feather and a little birdie. And as you can see, all of the ands kind of begin and end in the same spot. So that is exactly how we're going to do it. And that is why you have that extra little bit of wire, so that it does not take away from the length of the 5 loops.
Lori says, good evening, Irina and Tony, and sends all kinds of holiday emojis that, of course, look like cookies to me.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much, Lori.
And she adds beautiful turquoise bracelet.
Thank you so much, Lori. So this one is going to be mostly show and tell, or just tell, perhaps, because it's actually very similar to making the ornament. In fact, in some ways, it's actually easier. So really, all I'm going to do is just demonstrate the loop. And especially since I kind of forgot to demonstrate a small optional part of the loop when I was doing the ornament, I think this is my opportunity to demonstrate a good little option in closing the loops. So here's what I'm doing. With my round nose, I am making a loop. And, oh, I know. So I think I was just, you know what? I think I need those little charms from the tray. In fact, if you want to, sorry guys, I forgot to grab my little charms for the bracelet as well as the beads. So I'm just asking Tony to grab me the tray, and then we can continue. Okay, cool. This is everything I need. So as we're making the loop, we always have the option to attach the charm to the loop as we go.
Suni is wondering if you're using heavy gauge memory wire.
Thank you so much for asking, Suni. This is actually not heavy gauge memory wire. This is probably somewhere in between, but this is most definitely not as heavy as the wire we used for a lot of the icicles. So remember that very, very heavy, very straight memory wire? This is quite a bit lighter than that wire. So if you are having a difficult time closing the loop, this is a really good little technique. Just use your crimping pliers. The oval opening in our crimping pliers is a perfect tool to close this little loop. And even if it's a little bit offset like mine is, kind of like a jump ring, that is not an issue. Once you close it, you can always use your flat nose pliers to line it up, just like I just did. So here's our little birdie. And yes, so just to kind of continue my thoughts, the memory wire that is intended either for the icicles or also actually for the snowflakes as well. I'm just looking for the and. Okay, so this is a little bit tangled. Let's untangle it. So both the snowflake memory wire as well as the memory wire that's intended for the icicles is very, very heavy duty memory wire. This is somewhere in between, and I find this just right as far as like for, I don't know how this just happened, but I think I just made it worse. Okay, so should be easy enough to untangle it, since it's going to keep its shape nicely, even if I, even if I play with it a little bit. Okay, guys, so I think this is good. So, all we're going to do is just the very same way we transferred the beads. Well, actually, no, I take it back, you guys. As I mentioned, you're getting the beads loose. They're going to be by count. So what we're going to do is just pick up the beads one at a time, but it goes very, very quickly. And every once in a while, as I'm doing this, I will just stop and slide all the beads to the other end. So it goes very quickly as you pick up the beads, and you really don't have to even slide them to the other side until you actually get to the point. Okay, so it is still a little bit tangled. So you don't have to slide them to the other side until you get to the point when you have a full circle. Okay, now I'm good.
Yolanda says, yes, that's what I do. Glad to know you do the same.
Oh, the sliding or the tangling?
I think the tangling.
Well, yep. I think we all do that. But as you just saw, it's so very, very easy to untangle.
Fonda says it reminds me of a slinky toy.
It is kind of a slinky toy, Fonda. I think that's why I enjoy these so much, because it's like a toy. It's so fun to play with. So either way, so we're just going to continue stringing our beads and just keep sliding them down to the end. So once you get to, and I want you guys to know you do have extra beads, so don't feel like you have to use every bead. We like to give you a few extra beads just in case, because like maybe a couple of beads might fall into the couch, and maybe the cat takes a bead, and who knows. So keep in mind that once you get to one full circle, you stop with that particular bead and you go on to the next bead. So in this colorway, once we're done with the red beads, we are just going to go on to this silvery gray kind of a, is it a silver or is it gold kind of a color? I love this color. This is actually a gold lined, what is it called? Black diamond, that's what it is. Gold lined black diamond. I had to think about that for a second. And then you make a full circle of the gold lined black diamond. And then again, once you have a full circle, you stop and you go on to the larger rondelle. So for the most part, in all of these bracelets, the largest bead is always going to be in the center. And once you have created a circle of your largest bead, then you go in reverse. So now you have the lined black diamond circle and finally the smaller red rondelle. And of course, on one end we have the little birdie, the other end is the feather. I don't know, I just felt like giving these a bird theme. I'm not sure why, maybe just because I like birds. And so we do have 3 different colorways in this very same bracelet. So please keep in mind that the different colorways do use different beads, and just because, like, let's say if you get a couple of different colorways, you will not necessarily have the same counts, because if you look at the copper version of this bracelet, you will see that the center row is a bit smaller than the center row in the red robin, or the center row in the turquoise J. So they're all going to be just a slightly different count. So please do not go by count, but rather go by full circles. So again, as you see, I have a full circle of the faceted turquoise bead. Then I have a full circle of the sparkly turquoise bead, and finally a full center circle. Okay, so that's about it, right?
Debbie says beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you. Okay, ladies, and now just a little bit about the remaining set of bracelets. And these are called Circle of Gemstones. And that is because the inspiration for the entire bracelet is the center circle, which consists of gemstones. So in this first one, we have a beautiful faceted 6mm red jasper as the center of the bracelet, as the focal point. And this next one is a titanium coated tiger eye. And finally, we have chrysocolla mosaic jasper. And so this is called Circle of Stone. And then, of course, this is a bit more earthy, as I mentioned. And there's some really fun little, you can really see it in the contrasting black. So, but all of these, I hope you guys can see, I hope the camera shows it well. So there are these little accents of metallic beads that give it a slightly more casual look. It's definitely a boho look. And finally, the charms on this are these fun little drops. I adore these little drops, and they really pick up those little silver accents. I feel like they're just a really good pairing. And that is, I believe, all there is. So please let me know, did I miss anything? Do you guys have any questions?
Fonda says very pretty.
Thank you so much, Fonda.
Suni says, is the center row on the red robin and turquoise 8mm?
So on
Yes.
So on the red robin, it is 8mm. And on the turquoise, it is also 8mm. And on the copper, it is probably 6 to 7mm.
Lori says, I love the turquoise, my favorite color.
Thank you so much, Lori.
Yolanda says, all very pretty.
Thank you, Yolanda.
Kim K says, gorgeous colors, love the gemstones.
Thank you so much, Kim. You know, I always love working with gemstones. They just provide so much inspiration. And for the gemstone bracelets, what I did is I picked seed beads that are a little bit more evocative of a gemstone. So when you look at these, you just kind of go, wait, is that a gemstone? But that is actually Picasso turquoise. So if you're familiar with the Picasso color in glass beads, it always looks very similar to stone. It's very earthy. It has that kind of an earthy feel and texture.
Suni says, thank you. Lately, I've been thinking about memory wire bracelets.
Oh, yay, me too, Suni.
Allie says, all are great. Red and blue are my faves.
Thank you so much, Allie.
Rosie says, thank you for sharing your ideas and your talent.
Thank you so much, Rosie. It really means a lot.
Lori says, thank you very much for a lovely live tonight.
Thank you so much, Lori. Okay, ladies. So before we call it a night, I would love to give you a little preview of everything that is coming up. I'm decorating here and making, I don't know, I'm making it festive, right? So here, we'll just put these. I know it makes it kind of messy, but you know, this is my life. I enjoy this kind of mess. Thank you, Tony. Okay, guys, so this is what is coming up. Tomorrow, we have a Facebook Live shopping event. And this is going to be lots of fun. I have a little bit more raku for all of you who already bought raku last time. And you know, I had some amazing, amazing prices on the raku and the lamp work. And especially towards the end of the year, there are a few things that we're going to have on a crazy, crazy sale. I'll have more of the $5 strands and some $7 strands and some other strands. So definitely really exciting. And so again, this is tomorrow's shopping event, Friday, December 22nd at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on the Eclectica page. And then next Thursday is going to be December 28th. So this will be after Christmas. And so I think I'm going into a slightly more casual mode. And so I am going to be doing this on-chained gemstone bracelet. And the oh, you know what? It just occurred to me that I never modeled any of my memory wire bracelets. So maybe I will do that before we call it a night, because not everybody's familiar with memory wire bracelets.
Yolanda says, my birthday is on the 31st.
Woohoo! Yolanda, your birthday is New Year's Eve. That's special.
Kim K says, thanks for sharing your beautiful ideas. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you. You as well. Okay, guys. So on-chain gemstone, because we have chain, and yet the gemstones are not on the chain. So I will have most likely a companion necklace to this. Perhaps, actually, that's still just an idea. And then I will have at least one other colorway. So I hope you join me for this next Thursday. In the meantime, let me show you very quickly what it looks like when you put one of the memory wire bracelets on.
Allie says, yes, please model.
Oh, I love to model my creations, Allie. So all you do is just separate one little circle and then just wind the rest of them onto your wrist, just like that. So this is what it looks like. I'm just going to push my bracelets up a little. So this is what it looks like. It just looks like a fun little bangle. What do you think? And maybe we'll do one more just for fun. And so what's really nice is that you do not have to know somebody's exact size of bracelet, because this just sort of adjusts to whatever size you wear, within reason, of course. But you know, these little circles, they just kind of spread a little bit if they need to, and then they bounce back. So that is the beauty of creating with memory wire. And then of course there's also no clasp, so they're so incredibly easy to put on. And, you know, there's no fumbling with the clasp, and they're very easy to wear. I do enjoy them very much.
Yolanda says, love them.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. Well, I believe, ladies, we are actually done for the day. So again, I hope you can join me tomorrow morning for the shopping event. In the meantime, have a wonderful and creative evening. And just in case you're not joining me tomorrow, have a wonderful holiday. Have a Merry Christmas. Lots of joy, happiness, and warmth for the season. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your awesome comments. I will see you in the morning.